saying that, okay, 95% of restaurants close in their first year, 85% of restaurants close in their second year. There's a pizza shop in every corner. I'm a first-time restaurateur, no experience whatsoever. But then it ultimately comes down to, faith that I can, make this happen and power through. I mean, I struggled, for the first few years at figuring out how to like run a restaurant, figuring out how to hire people, like figuring out how to, get the right partnership. I mean, there's just so many things that I was just like, oh, okay. And it just takes time. And so, and it just will, like, I messed up a lot the first year and we lost a lot of customers because it took time for, took too long for pizza to leave, to leave the restaurant. And, New York City is New York City. And so people were like, this place took too long. I'm never coming back because there's like a million other restaurants to go. She's like, oh my God, I got to win them back. What do I do? So, I basically started setting up shop at all the gyms in the neighborhood, yoga studios in the neighborhood, small businesses. I would bring out free samples and say, hey, we figured things out. Try it again. It's amazing. And then people came back. And it's just, again, that will to like, anyone can just say, all right, well, mess that one up. But then you're like, or you can say, okay, let me stop. Let me figure this out. Let me solve what the issues are with speed. Like, okay, maybe I should put the plates over there. Maybe I should put the plates right here so that it takes half a second to put the thing. And then, so there's just like all these little tiny things that you would not even think about as a first-time restaurateur, entrepreneur, like whatever. Just stuff comes up all the time. And either you give up or you're just like, let me figure this out and then get back out there and just like, for example, I flyered 5,000 apartments by myself, like snuck into like all these buildings on the Upper East Side and the West Village, and personally flyered every single apartment, like snuck the thing, or didn't hire anyone, did it by myself because I didn't trust anyone to do it. Like, what if they just took the menus and then threw it in the trash? I'm like, oh, I did it. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it myself. So I wrote little notes and I signed my name on every single one of them. And like hung them on each person's doorknob. And that week, 95% of my deliveries came from those little notes that I sent out. So it's just like stuff like that. And it just requires like, you just have to get off your butt and go and do stuff. And people, it's like in the end, if people see the energy and people see the passion, and it's like infectious. And so like, they'll just be like, oh, look at this girl trying so hard. All right, fine. Let me buy a slice from her. Okay, fine, Let me get back there and give her another chance. Yeah, so it's just stuff like that. And just like figuring out like, okay, I've totally messed up here. Like, how do I get these people back in the door? And then figuring it out, basically. That's where partnerships come in. And that's when I realized that like work smarter, not harder sometimes. And rather than like flyering like everyone, you just say, okay, well, I'm going to partner up with Oprah because she cares about African issues, or I'm going to partner up with Ellen, or I'm going to partner up with all these powerful women who are doing incredible things who have already a reach. And so, we have a list of literally like 30,000 people around the world who are influencers in their own right, whether it's just like from a small women's group in a college to like a huge, figure that we're just going to go after and just like passion them enough to like say, okay, fine, I'll help you. Yeah. So, or they'll be excited about it because they're like, oh my God, I deal with this every month too. Wow. I want that, and so that's kind of like that's the plan. I think it boils down to a pretty simple thing. It's just, put one foot in front of the other and figure it out. I mean, I just think that everything is figure outable. It really is. Like, my friend Marie says that all the time. And it really is. It's just like, like if you're trying to get to the mid, to become a mid-level manager, you figure out who the right person to go and you figure out what they're interested in after extracurricularly. And then you're like, hey, I have, and then you go and take that lesson or whatever. And there's ways to get to the people and to pull, on the inside versus, that's the other thing I always talk about. It's like networking versus connecting. There's such a distinction between networking and connecting, where you're like, if you're networking, you're like, what do you do? Like, and it's just so stiff. Whereas connecting is just like, what are you excited about? Like, where's the next place you want to travel to and why? And like, what's your, what's the dream? And so people are like, instantly, you start having a much deeper conversation. You've like eliminated all the crap on the surface. And then you all of a sudden, you're buddies. And then that's when all of a sudden magic starts to happen. And so I think there's such a distinction, and for mid-level, people want to get to the right places. It really has so much to do with relationships and building the right relationships and doing it in a way that's so sincere and that's so like, that's undeniable that they're like, I want to be your friend because you're so cool and so excited about something. Like, it's infectious. Yeah. So I think as far as the lesson goes, it's trying to like find the right, people to connect with and not network with. I used to go to a bunch of Cornell networking events, which is like I went to, university at Cornell, and then in here in New York City, they have like these networking events. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna wear my suit and just like go and try to fit in, and it's just like, I just don't, like I don't fit in, and so I realized that when I first tried to do that, I was really kind of like putting out my light, you're hiding the light and you're just trying to fit in when you're like, unless, and then you figure out, okay, wait a minute, what if I show everyone the light and realize that I'm this vibrant, happy person? There's so much, people draw to light. It's like, people are drawn to that versus just trying to like, just, stay clear of, it just, I think that's it. It's just like showing your light in a setting that you would otherwise think that it's not supposed to be that way. I think people should be opening their eyes and looking around and seeing what sucks and actually taking the steps to fix them. And I think people, always think, oh yeah, the government's going to do something or the company or someone else is going to do it. I think if people take ownership, then the world would be such a better place because they're like, oh my God, I should recycle. Or I should not like run the water for days. Or I should turn my lights off when I leave the house, turn my air off. Just little things where you start taking ownership. And I think that will, and you start like recognizing what's around you and what's not working and what's working, and that there's a real like global crisis with the environment if we don't change things, and poverty and also obesity, and there's just so many different issues. And if people actually say, I'm going to do something about it, and everyone takes that sort of initiative, I think it'll be such a much more exciting, vibrant world.